This is the virtual happy hour experience with the Drunken Grape. I am your host, Rob, and today we have an extraordinary person on set. Extraordinary drinks with extraordinary people is the theme. You know, always like, share, and engage in this content. If you're not a subscriber, hit the subscription on the YouTube channel, hit the notification bell, and select all. Today we have an awesome guest. He is one of my favorite. He is a major business player in Western Canada and Alberta and Calgary, to be specific. He is a home developer. The family has been in this business now, I believe, something like 4 or 5 decades and counting. Shane Wenzel, buddy, how the hell are you?
Rob, I'm doing phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Awesome. Well, you know, Shane, talk to us a little bit about how you got started, because, you know, real estate is a pivotal piece that everybody engages in throughout their lives, whether you're renting or you're owning or you're developing, or it's a home for your own family, or it's an investment property. Give us some insights as to what's going on today. But before that, tell us a little bit about how you got started.
Yeah, well, I got started when I was young. I was 18 years old, and you know, here my father had started this company when I was about 7, and he called it Shane Homes after me. And that all came about when you know, he left his previous career in mobile homes, working for Jimmy Pattison. And it started off slow. You know, like every business, you have those growing pains. And I came in at a time where, you know, the company was on a real growth spurt, which was kind of fun, you know, but I had no experience. So I had to spend a little time, you know, over the years working with my father and, you know, taking various courses through post-secondary or whatever I could find at the time to learn a little bit more about sales and marketing. And, you know, things just kind of snowballed from there. I started off as a marketing assistant, worked my way up to the VP of sales and marketing. And, you know, when I was ready, or at least when my father felt I was ready, I was offered the role of president of the company. And that wasn't going to happen if I wasn't capable of it. So it took a few years to get there, and probably a few years for me to get comfortable in the role, because it was completely different than what I was used to. But, you know, here we are, you know, 42 years later, and, you know, I have the gray hair to go along with it too. So,
yeah, well, you know, we're about the same age. I know that feeling and sentiment. And, you know, family businesses, it's interesting because this dynamic is obviously working. And if you take a look at a lot of what transpired with Henry Ford and Ford Motor Company, for instance, it's the second generation that usually takes it higher than the first generation, because usually the first generation's hands-on. Well, they built it, but the second generation's integrated into being hands-on too. And typically they pick the smartest and most talented family member around them if there's going to be a succession plan that also is competent. Because, you know, these are wise men. They're not just going to hand it off to a son that's going to bury something that they built. They would keep you as a trust fund kid on it.
That's exactly.
And obviously, you have worked tirelessly to not only continue this success, but how much has this grown under your leadership? I imagine quite a bit.
Well, I mean, since I got involved, I mean, the company was doing about 90 sales a year. And, you know, now we could do anywhere upwards of 600 on single family and about 150 on multifamily if we really tried.
Wow.
And, you know, throw the land development
crazy.
in, and we have our own subdivisions and our, you know, our own land positions out there. So, I mean, it's grown substantially. And, you know, it started that growth spurt under my father. You're exactly right. He brought the company up from its infancy and to where it was. And, you know, I think I'm going to be able to take it even a little bit further. You know, and that'll be the fun part. That'll be the fun part. That'll be the big challenge.
Yeah, you think about it. What a transformation from a company that sold 90 homes, you know, for the viewers listening to this, to selling on average 600. And I imagine you probably hit 1,000 in some bumper years, but this is absolutely insane. Like, you have literally 10x the business, basically.
Well, I mean, I can't take all the credit for it. Like I said,
No, of course not.
my father was a big integral part of it for a number of years. But I mean, you got to surround yourself with some pretty intelligent people, and ones that fill the gaps that I likely have in my role. And every year we seem to get a little bit better by adding another square peg to a round hole and bringing it all together. But I think that's probably the most significant thing is. Where the world is going today, and having the proper people around you to help guide you through it as well.
Yeah, and we're both very active on social media. I know you're very active on LinkedIn, Instagram, some of these platforms, Twitter. One thing that you nailed the head on that you can't replace is you can't replace having good people around you. You can't replace having talent around you. It's so exciting to talk about this because everyone thinks that you can just get something up these days with likes, clicks, and views. Well, you can't. You've got to drive the bus too, and you got to drive it with serious intent. And I know seeing my own business gradually build up, and of course, it's not near the scale of yours, but you see it grow. And each step you want to start thinking, who's the most talented person I can contact, even on a contract basis in the beginning, that can step into the void that I have gaps in the game I'm playing.
Exactly. It can be sometimes a challenge because really it's like you're putting together a professional sports team and you're really trying to fill the gaps. I mean, I guess that's part of the experience that I picked up over the years, especially in the role of president, is finding those right personalities, that right talent that fit the corporate culture. And certainly I've experienced it from both sides where you can pick up the talent, but if they don't fit the culture, they're going to fail. And, I've experienced that. I've been president for almost 10 years now. So that's been a challenge and that's been an experience, but it's been a great learning experience. And it's one that, that I love to share.
That's awesome. And alignment is such an important thing too. You cannot be not aligned. And on that note, cheers. It's the happy hour. I see you got a glass of scotch on the rocks. Cheers, my friend. I have a 2017 Shiraz Viognier from Alchemy Vineyards. This is in Franklin River. So this is right near Perth and the Margaret River Valley in Western Australia. It's a cooler climate with some Mediterranean influences. Now, this is done in the French style. This is, we'll talk a bit about that. We'll get to Scotch in a minute. But this has a lot of pepper notes. It's got jammy notes in it. It's got a lot of blackberry. It's got a red cherry in there. There's definitely some rosemary, thyme, a little bit of mint in this one. These wines are terrific. They add Viognier in it. This is a French style. So you add a little bit of white wine in it to lift out the pigmentation, to give it a deeper color, and to really help accentuate those dark fruit and floral notes even further along. And it's quite incredible. You can see how tannic this is. It's got a nice dark ruby hue. It's clear. It's got the color gets deep as you get into the middle of it. This is something I would call medium plus in body, medium plus in color, but have this with steak. Sit by the fireplace. We're getting to the holiday season. This is a great wine to crack.
Yes, we are.
I'm in love with this one. It's like $21.95 at the LCBO. What kind of scotch do you have in your hand there, brother, for the happy hour?
No, for the happy hour, just a boring 14-year-old Glenlivet.
That's not that boring, though.
No, it's not that boring to me, Rob, but, to some it might be. But, I had to go with something simple because it is Wednesday afternoon. Maybe on Friday night, try something a little bit better.
Simple could be complex in another man's world or lady's world. You think about it. 14 years age, Glenfiddich single malt. That's, is it Speyside it's from?
I'm not sure.
You know the region it's from?
I don't know.
They don't tend to be peaty. I believe it is Speyside because they don't tend to be nearly as peaty.
Yeah, well,
as
it's definitely not as
Oban.
peaty. It's not as peaty as what you would find in an Oban. It's very slight, very smooth going down.
Not very briny either because you're not really near the sea spray of the ocean in that area either.
That's right.
Yeah, so cool. I know you're a big Scotch and whiskey aficionado. I love it when people share their drinks at the happy hour. We're going to get now to a bit of screen sharing here. I want to bring up your company page just because I think it's a viable thing or valuable thing to have a take a look at. It's got the Calgary Home Builder. I know you're featured in numerous awards. Mm-hmm. This is something that the Better Home Building Experience, take the Shane quiz. I love this. You have won numerous awards within the area. And I know that you also are not just a social media influencer, my friend, but you're a massive influencer in the world of business. What boards do you sit on and how does that impact everything? Because I know that you sit on some boards of commerce and you're tied into the print media there as well quite a bit. I mean, you've built yourself some influence for sure, and you've done it all through honest hard work and integrity. This is the best part of it all.
Well, and that's been part of the fun. I've been involved in the industry for, obviously for a number of years, over 30 now. And I sit on the board of directors for the Build Calgary, which is the not the governing body, but the advocacy body for our industry. More recently, about 3 years ago, I was asked to join the Alberta Enterprise Group, which is another board here in Alberta that talks a lot of business and has a bit of a pipeline into government advisory. So that's been a different experience, to be sure. And last year, I was offered the opportunity to write a column for a publication that's been around in Calgary for a number of years called Business in Calgary. So life is never boring, Rob. It just keeps rolling along.
It's what you make it, and you really make the most of it. You're one of those that I would put on the self-actualized list of Maslow's needs on that pyramid. You'd probably be right at the top of it. And it's not without having to work really hard. And, also your own challenges too, because I know that you're a part of the LGBTQ community. You're a big advocate for that community. And I'm sure there's been some roadblocks and barriers. I think things are getting a lot better now, but I'm sure you encountered some difficulty with that too along the train, the train to success that you have lived through.
Well, I have and I haven't. I mean, there's certainly been a few roadblocks, and I probably lost contact with some people that I knew because of it. But especially coming out late in life. But I guess at the same time, I've been surprised at the amount of support that I've received from people, and the knowledge that there's other individuals out in the industry or even in other subsectors of the business who wouldn't have found the strength to even come out themselves. So, I mean, that's been one hell of a road ride there that I've actually quite enjoyed as a personal pastime, is talking to people about that.
Yeah, and you should be proud of who you are. I mean, this is a world where we shouldn't care about our backgrounds. Just because I've got white skin, a lot of people make the mistake. They go, hey, you're just a white guy. But my mother's from Guyana, South America. There's a lot of ethnic mixing in there, Portuguese, Amerindian, a little bit of black. I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening in that family. Mm-hmm. And you just don't know what's really beneath the surface of that book. And I think what you've done for advocacy is great because, we talked about it. We're both like socially quite flexible people and liberal people. We're open people. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the world. I mean, I live on the straight side of life, but this is just who cares? It's just one of these things. What we should care about is the common good and what the business and the economy of the world is doing to sustain all these things. I think that is a much more constructive conversation. And, going back to this with the homes, I know you're probably quite a bit about sustainability in that area too. I'm checking out this 3D tour on this 3,000 square foot home. Look at the living room, ladies and gentlemen. This thing kicks ass. I mean, this is great. I would definitely check out this website. People, there's a lot of people in this side of the world, in Ottawa, Toronto in particular, Shane, that would love to be able to buy out in Calgary because a lot of people are expanding their real estate interests at this time that do have money and capital too.
Rob, that's funny that you mentioned that. That's exactly what we're seeing happen. I would say about 35% of our purchasers over the past year have been coming from down east. Wow. And, we recognizing that, we are actually able to enact one tool that we've been wanting to for quite some time, and we call it Build and Price. So you can actually take the lot, the model, and start pricing it out before you even venture into a show home.
Wow,
And
that's cool.
that has been a huge advantage and a great tool for purchasers to use, especially when they're coming from the other end of the country. They want to know what they're getting into before they even get here. They don't want to drive around randomly like they used to do in the 90s when they started. They actually pick and choose who they're going to go and see now. So that's been a tremendous addition, and all online. So you can do it any time of day or night or weekend or whatever you need to price that out.
Yeah, and you're really smart tech-wise too. I always listen to some of your tech advice that you impart from time to time, and you are definitely a savvy man when it comes to technology. You are sharp on it, and you are so right. The virtual world is so important now. Like, why the hell would an agent have to be at the house all the time now? Do the virtual tour. They can do a virtual tour privately for the client. You can walk through with a camera with a gimbal. You capture everything. I have one of those, the DJI Pocket Osmo. You can hold it on something like this as a tool. If you're thinking about basic videography, ladies and gentlemen, your phone just basically slaps right into this thing here. You can walk around as a handheld, capture these videos. And this is what they can do now. I know in my space, live events on the small to mid-sized scale where teams are scattered outside of one single locale are never coming back. Think about it. Would you fly if you had team members across the country, would you be flying them to have your holiday party? Or would you just do it online virtually and engage? And then you could kick back the difference into trips and gifts and a whole bunch of other things, because I'm sure with the size company you have, $10,000 is easy at a party. That's a drop in the bucket.
Oh,
but if you turned around and you took, say, that 10K, you spin it, and I'm just chatting in my world briefly for a second. You put $2 or $3 grand into the event organization. It was with myself, the product that gets out to you, the hour and a half party time. You have all that difference you can gift to people. Hey, you know what? You're a great performer. Here's a trip to Cuba. Here's a $500 Amazon card. Because people are going to gravitate to these things too. And it's a great way to do things. And it ties into your virtual concept. If I'm shopping from Ottawa, I don't want to have to go to this site, the old scripted page, or it just has pictures. And then I got to phone you. And a lot of people are still dated in the past as to how to do this. But I can go to your site, get a whole 3D presentation, call an agent up, get a video of this. And I feel like I've walked through the house before I've even gotten to Calgary. Like, I already know pretty much what direction I'm going to go in when I site, and then I'm going to go online and read up about the area.
Well, and that's the thing, Rob. I mean, if there's anything that we've learned over the past, couple of years, especially during lockdowns, is, how can you accommodate people? How can you meet the new customer needs out there? And that's the biggest thing that we were trying to accommodate was, how do you get people out? Because progressively over, I've been around for over 30 years. I've watched annual traffic at show homes drop from 32,000 people a year down to 6,000 people a year, and I mean it's still dwindling a little bit, but where you make it up, just with building price as an example is we're seeing an average of I think the last stat I looked at was 600 people last week on this thing, just pricing things out. So they're taking the time, they understand the convenience, and it's one that I don't think anybody can ignore moving forward. They really have to utilize that tool, and I mean it's so basic. It's so understood nowadays that people really do want this, and that's like you talk about walking around, even virtually in a house. Yeah, our sales reps can do that, but we're even finding the application works perfectly for our service staff before they go into a customer's house. Show me what the problem is. Just take your phone, do this, show me what the problem is. So I'm better prepared when I come to your home. And that's what we talk about when we're getting into the customer experience is what kind of experience are you having? How are we accommodating you? Is it knowledge that we're short on? Is it understanding what the issue is prior to? Well, let's work on it together. We want people to like buying a home. To me, I've never understood why it's stressful. It should be fun.
No. Yeah, it's like you go have fun when you test drive those cars. Why the hell would you not go have fun when you check out a house? I mean, I'd be going into these places going, wow, what am I going to do with that basement? Where's the man cave? Where's the ladies' den and her room? Where's the podcast center? Where's the games room for the kids? Where's the wet bar? Where's the entertainment? I want to see the bedroom with the ensuite bathroom and the massive closet in the master bedroom. I mean,
Absolutely.
People love this stuff. And it should not be stressful.
Not at all. And it's all individual. I mean, you referenced to the fireplace and that one photo that you saw on our website. I mean, the sky's the limit. What do you want? What do you want it to look like? Pull a picture from Houzz and give it to us and say, I want it to look exactly like that. Great, we can do that. There's no problem doing that nowadays.
And that just makes you an awesome home builder. I just remember, even here in Ottawa, you see a lot of these homes go up and they're still prefabbing them in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Even all the big developers will buy up a block and then there's 1,000 new homes or condos go in an area and it all looks the same or some slight variant of. The ability to customize and to do it all online, you're basically turning into like a baby Amazon of the home building network. Like
in a way,
I think you're on the right path. Yeah.
In a way, Rob, yes, that's I think that's a little more unique to our side of the country, and I can't really put my finger on as to why. And I mean, there's certainly production things that you do, but in a lot of cases here, especially from our side of it, I mean, we welcome the red pen on our plans because, I mean, Calgary's grown up over the years. We're a regular old melting pot.
Major city.
And I can tell you that our customer base has changed dramatically over that time. They all have special needs. If we go into one area of Calgary, it's so ethnically diverse. I mean, we look at how we can incorporate spice kitchens into the home.
That's cool, and that's smart.
And that's what you have to do because that's how they live their lives. The multi-generational families. So I mean, they want maximized square footage, bedrooms, bathrooms. You have to accommodate that. So it's not a one size fits all kind of home. You have to have the options, or at least have the ability to customize to accommodate their needs. They're making the biggest purchase in their lives.
Yeah, it's not going to get any bigger than your house. And if it does, it's just an upgrade to a bigger house because the pie got bigger. It's just the way it goes. Maybe that private jet may cost a little more, or Leonardo DiCaprio's yacht, which, burns more emissions than 20 million cars a day. But a different story. But outside of that, I mean, for 99% of the population, on a serious note, your home is your biggest purchase. Why not make it enjoyable? Shane, you've been a delightful guest. I'm going to have the contact information for you in the description of this show on the YouTube channel. Perfect. We're going to share it on social media. I ask that you share it with your whole community on social media. As you know, we're always trying to grow the show too, and always trying to put out great content, great interviews, extraordinary drinks with extraordinary people. And you are really one of those extraordinary people. You're such a down-to-earth gent. You care. I see compassion every time I talk with you. I see a guy who's focused yet compassionate. This is what you want to deal with, people. This is the kind of business you want to reach out. And if you're watching this coast to coast or borderless, because we are in a borderless world, Calgary's a great place to invest in. It's only going to explode with any economic recovery. Alberta has the lowest taxes in Canada. It has the most flexible business situation in Canada. And it's a safe community for sure by percentage or proportion of population. It's a great place to live. Ladies and gentlemen, Shane, you've been awesome. Thank you very much for being on the show. We're going to get back to that. Ladies and gentlemen, whatever you decide to do, have a terrific day. Happy hour. Cheers from Shane Wetzel and myself, Rob Stapleton from The Drunken Grape. Cheers. Have a terrific day, ladies and gentlemen. Bye for now.
Take care.